Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, the Force is with the readers, and in this episode, Darth Vader versus Ghost Rider. Okay, not really. Darth Vader versus the Crow. No, not really that either, but something very similar to both of them. I'm your host, Nathan B. Butler. The story we're looking at is another of these stories produced in the UK that was not reprinted in the 1980s in the United States, but was reprinted in 1996 in the pages of classic Star Wars Devil Worlds #1 from Dark Horse Comics. It's a story entitled Dark Lord's Conscience. And once again, we're dealing with a story by Alan Moore, which means it's going to be a little bit trippy. So, on the planet Cheelit, Darth Vader and Lady Dole, D-H-O-L, those kind of this little creature, squid-looking creature in the orb here, are playing a game called Firepath. Kind of like chess, except that the pieces are on these little discs that then, boom, explode with fire. And apparently the people on either side, the two players, are sitting near enough to that fire to be blasted by it if they lose, or so it would seem later in this issue. And Vader has come to this planet, Cheelit, because he wants to not only accept the challenge from Dole, but he plans on facing the so-called Guild of Vindicators on their home turf. In this case, the Guild of Vindicators has sent an individual to take on Vader named Clat the Shamer. Kind of a creepy-looking guy here, right? Again, it's sort of a horror story, hence Devil Worlds. Very much like a lot of the Marvel UK original stuff written in this era. Basically, what Clat the Shamer can do is, whether through telepathy or the Force or whatever, he's able to basically look into the eyes and such of an individual and cause all the horrors that they have visited upon others to come crashing down on them. Very much like a Ghost Rider penance stare kind of thing. So in this case, for instance, we start seeing a stormtrooper having to relive all the pain and sorrow that he brought against others when killing, among other people, children, to the point where he finally is so ashamed that he takes his own blaster and shoots himself in the chest, committing suicide. I'm assuming that's because it's at point-blank range and high power. Otherwise, if you can shoot a blaster through the chest of a stormtrooper, that armor doesn't really mean a damn thing. Anyway, Clat gets past the stormtroopers into the place where they're playing Firepath, and he goes up against Darth Vader. And he tries to make Darth Vader feel shame for his actions. Only see, when Vader is told that he knows what he must do, Vader does know. He presses a button, and, well, Clat just happened to be standing on one of them discs, and boom, he is flambéed. Kentucky Fried Shamer. At which point, Vader reveals that he knew that Dole was part of drawing him there into this trap, and he does the same thing and fries Dole. Fried squid for dinner. Now, that's it. That's really all there is to the story, and it kind of leaves you wondering, what are they trying to say with this? I'm assuming by calling it Dark Lord's Conscience, the idea here is that since Clat the Shamer's powers didn't work, Vader doesn't feel any shame. Vader doesn't have a conscience. Vader doesn't feel that any of the things he's done are wrong, therefore, this will not work on him. It's like an innocent man being put into Ghost Rider's penance gaze. Which kind of makes you think that a lot of the humanity has been stripped out of the character by this point. But it sort of makes sense, right? Vader's a Dark Lord of the Sith. He justifies everything to himself. It's what Anakin does in the prequels, right? He's always doing the wrong things for what he thinks are the right reasons. If you were to use that sort of prequel rationale to the way that Anakin acts, the way that he rationalizes everything to say that it's not really his fault, then it kind of makes sense and fits very well with what we see here of basically them hinting that Vader has no conscience, no shame about anything that he has done. Hence, Clat's power's not working, unless it's just the fact that it's the Force and Vader's immune to it, which kind of takes any deeper meaning of this story and throws it out the window, flushes it down the toilet, perhaps doing both. Maybe there's a toilet outside, maybe it's a porta potty. So, this kind of odd, interesting little quasi-horror story, Dark Lord's Conscience. Is this an essential read? No. Not now if you're reading it in classic Star Wars Devil Worlds #1. Also not if you're reading it in its original source, The Empire Strikes Back Monthly in the UK, number 155 from April of 1982. It's just not a story that has any broader impact. Interesting insight into Vader's character, if we can take that meaning from it that I suggested, but not something that is particularly essential for any readers. Not modern, not Marvel, and not Marvel UK. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the readers.